Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this birthday card using the partial die cutting technique, and that's what's given me these flaps here. Underneath these flaps, this one says have a happy, amazing, wonderful, fabulous, adorable birthday. Okay. I first saw this 5 years ago by somebody called Jess Larson. I don't think she's still doing videos unless she's got another channel and she's going by another name. I did have a look, but it doesn't appear there's anything more recent than about 4 years on her channel. But I saw a card that she had done like this, so that's where I got my inspiration from. I'll tell you the card stock that you're going to be needing, the card pieces you're going to be needing. The card base is Whisper White, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8. In centimetres, that's 21 by 10.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of Blackberry Bliss, and these should measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 14 by 10 centimetres. And then you will need 3 pieces, and the one that's on the inside, of Whisper White, and they should measure 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 13.7 by 9.7. And the reason we need 3 of these, 2 are for the card and 1 is for a template that we're going to be making. Obviously, once you've got the template, you can go back to making this style of card very easily. Right, now the next pieces you're going to be needing: Blackberry Bliss, which measures 1 3/4 inches by 6 inches, which is 4.4 by 15.2 centimetres, and then some designer series paper, and I'm using this, which is from Nature's Poem, and that should be about 1 1/4 inches by 4 inches, which is 3.2 by 10.3 centimetres. In fact, 3 by 10 centimetres will be fine for that. Blackberry Bliss and also Whisper White, you need a piece that's 2 inches by 3 inches, each of those. And then you need another piece of Whisper White, which measures 5 inches by 2 inches, which is 12.6 by 5 centimetres. So what we are going to do is, because we need the template first, the easiest way I found of doing it is by cutting out these frames first. So what I'm going to do is clear myself a space here and bring my big shot up. At the moment it probably seems like I'm doing things a little bit back to front, but when you see why I'm doing it like this, it'll make sense. So that's my piece for my window frames, and I'm going to cut 2. I've done all my pieces beforehand. I'm going to cut 2 because there are 2 ways of doing this. You can either cut the scalloped square first, the outside of it, or you can cut the centerpiece out. Now I prefer to cut that one first, and I'll show you why. So first of all, I'm going to do that one, and then I'll do one of these. That's why you've got 6 inches here, so you can do the third one there. And when you're doing it, don't forget, when you're doing the smaller one, leave enough space around it to put the larger one on there. Right, and the die, oops, sorry about that. The dies that I'm using, let's just move that out of the way so I don't do that again, are the layering squares, which are these. It comes as a set of 19 different dies, scalloped ones and also what I call straight cuts. And we are using, what ones are we using? We're going to be using 2 straight ones, which is sizes 1 and 2, that's size 2, and a scallop one, which is size 4. Right, so you get that, and you get that. So first of all, what I need to do is put that on there, and this I find more difficult than putting this round there. And I think it's because it's easier to see that that is more or less the same width all the way around, whereas this, you've got such a tiny amount, which is why I prefer to do that way. But I suggest you give it a try and decide for yourself which way you'd like doing it. Okay, so now I've got one scallop frame, and I have another one. Doing it this way, I find that I am more likely to get one edge more narrow than the others. I mean, with a better chance of getting equal on that side. But the choice is yours, have a go. Right, so just put those over there. So you need to do 3 of these. Okay, that's for your card, and this is for your template. So I'm going to move my big shot away for a moment. So this is my sheet for my template, and just to make sure it is exactly the same size as that. Close enough. It should be exactly the same size, but I've already made my template, so that's okay. Right, so now I need 3 of these. Here's one that I made earlier, true Blue Peter fashion. So what we need to do is to use these and space them out across here. First thing that I do is, using my beautiful new toy, which is one of these, which is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Somebody recommended it to me. I'm awfully sorry, but I can't remember who it is. I should know. But I just line that up there, and as long as that is against that edge, I can draw a straight line. Beautiful. And what I want is draw a line that's 3/4 of an inch up. Now I know if I line this on a line on my grid paper, then, and I'm on inches here, so 1, 2, 3 boxes, and that's 3/4 of an inch. So if I line that up like that, and very lightly, oops, draw a pencil mark across. And I'm going to use my removable tape. It isn't a Stampin' Up product, but I just find it so much easier to use. You can use SNAIL, and the way you do it if you want to use your SNAIL is if you just put a little bit on the back and then either touch that with your finger to get sticky off, or push it onto clothing. Don't do it if you've got designer label clothes. Mine aren't, so mine's okay. Okay, so that is nowhere near as sticky now, so that will work. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this cardstock so that that line is in the centre. I know you can't see my measurements down here. So that's 3 inches that side, 2.5, 3/4, about there. Right, okay, so if I come up like that, that is in the centre. Okay, so which is the one I put my Tombow on, my snail on? Right, this one. So I'm going to pop that onto there so that that's in the centre. If you want to be precise, obviously you can measure it. And then with the other two, space those out across there. Before you decide that you are happy with it, take your frames just to make sure that when that goes on there, you've still got enough room there. Are you on there or not? Right. No, you stay there. Right, do that again. So just put your frame on there to make sure you've got a space here and to make sure you have room to get the next one on. Okay, and then make sure that you've got room for that one. And it's not coming off the end there. Okay, so once you're happy with that, I don't think that's particularly straight, is it? Let me just straighten those up a bit, because the last thing I want is a wonky template. I think that looks alright, except I don't think I've left the same amount of gap here and here, have I? It is worth your while taking a little bit of time to make sure that you do get this correct, especially if you want to be able to use your template plate over and over again. So why isn't that? If I made that in the centre, that one's slightly over, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one. I don't know why I'm fussing about this actually, because I'm not going to be using this one. I know my other one works. But I think it would just be nicer if I actually give this template away to somebody. I couldn't do it if it wasn't correct. There we go, that's okay, much better. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut these out. So we know we're going to bring our square die back again, and our Tombow, not Tombow, how about Big Shot? Yeah, let's have that. And then with your squares like that, without moving them, pop your die over the top, and it should slot in there really nicely. And there we go, that's the first one. So now you've got that and that. And then you do the next one. Cut that out, remove it, cut that out. So then you'll finish up with a template that looks like this. Alright, I'm not going to spend time doing all of that because I think that's quite straightforward. Okay, now let's go to making our card, and what I'm going to do is I'm taking my top sheet and my template, going to pop that on top, and I am going to draw just the four corners on each. Without letting this move at all. Okay, so this is where I'm going to be cutting my flap. So let's have Big Shot back again. Now you need to have your cardstock this way, and we bring that square back again. Is that the right size? Yes, it's just that I can't see the smaller one, which I will be needing sooner or later. Oh, there it is, that's okay, don't panic. Right, okay, so what you need to do is to line up your die with those 4 corner marks that you've drawn. Now I'm going to have to tip this so that I can actually see it. Right, that's okay. So I'm happy that that's in the right position. Now with your cutting plate, what you need to do, in fact let me move this further up because that's a bit close to the edge. I guess that might happen. Let's try that bit again. You'll see why I needed to move this up. If it's too close to this edge, the plate will find it too easy to fall off. And also, if you find that as you're putting this in place, if it keeps jumping, moving around, use a post-it note to hold it in place. Let's put that there. Right. When you put your post-it note on, make sure that you don't cover up this piece here, because what you need to do now is you need to put your cutting mat on top so you leave the top bit here exposed, and I leave absolute tad exposed. Let me just get it in position, then I'll show you how much I leave. Right, with the lighting now I can't really see this very well. I think that's okay. Right, hopefully, oh yes, you can see it better than I can. In fact, I can see it a lot better looking at it by that way. Can you see the small gap that I've got between the top here, the top of this cutting mat, and inside there? That's inside the die. Okay, that's how tiny the gap is. And I moved that. This is so much easier when I stand up to do this. In fact, maybe I really ought to find out how I can adjust my tripod to make my camera that much higher. There we go, that's one. So what you should find now is, it's not very easy to see it from the front because your pencil marks, but now you should have that. Okay, so let's do the second one. Let's pop that on there, hold that in place, move that further in, and then make sure that's straight. Thing is, if you go too close, you're going to find you're going to cut the window out again, which is not what we're after. And if anything, it's better to cut this a little bit too short, because you can snip a little bit afterwards with your scissors. Right, that's the second one. Okay, and let's do the third one. Move it up high, make sure it's straight. I'm using the line on the platform there. Get that into line and that one. Pop that on it. Now this is a bit that's difficult to do sideways, or at least looking at it from where I am rather than looking at it over the top. Okay, if anything that's a bit on the short side, but that's okay. I'll just finish it off with my paper snips. Right, while I'm still here, I need, from my design series paper, using the smaller die, which is number 1, I need 3 squares. So pop that on there. That one, it doesn't matter if it twists, turns or whatever. It's a random design, so there we go. So you'll need 3 of these. Okay, as I say, I'm not doing them because I've already cut all of my pieces. So for the time being, we can get rid of the big shot again for a while. And what we need to do on this piece, where we've done our cutting, we need to use our eraser first to get rid of all our pencil marks. Make sure you hold on to your flap so that as you're rubbing with your eraser, you don't make it all curl up and scrunch up. It's not the effect we're going for. Missed that one. Okay, so that's right. Now what we need to do is we need to score along the top here so the flap opens. So I'm going to be using my scoreboard. You can use your trimmer if that's your preferred way of scoring. Move those out of the way. Now with this, it's a little bit of a trial and error to find where you've got to do your scoring. But what I do is I just sort of look up there. Now on that one it looks as if it's going to hit onto there. So what I'm going to do is, I've done 2 cards now, this is my 3rd, and the others I have found that 2 1/8 is where my line, my my scored line is. So I'm going to put my score line there, and I'm just going from that cut line to that cut line. Now this means that I'm going to have to cut a little bit extra here, because this is a bit, on that one it was falling short. That one's more or less correct. So is this one. In fact, it was that first one that really gave me the biggest problems. Right, so I have scored with the right side facing me, which I think I should have done the other way, but never mind. Oh, I didn't, did I? Yes, I did. In fact, this has folded quite well. Let me see if I need to just give a little snip here. So if you find that your cuts are a bit short, then just use your paper snips to cut them up. Those two are brilliant, I saw that. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to decorate these, and that means I'm going to use my 3 squares here and my 3 frames. Oh, it's these here, isn't it? And this is all going to be with Tombow. It's easiest if you put these pieces on first, and I'll show you why. So just a little bit of Tombow all the way around. No, don't give me trouble again, you'll full up, your new ones. That's better. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I had an awful job with trying to get Tombow to come out. Right, now when you adhere these onto, or at least around your window, first of all let's try and get these to fold out of the way for the time being. If you have finished up with any thin sides, like this one here, that top looks thinner to me, that one there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it up on the top there. Now line this up here with your cut lines. Don't cover your cut lines up whatever you do, but you will find that that will fit in nicely. And then you'll find your score line is down here. Alright? Then just make sure that your flap still opens. And just check to see if there's any thinner ones, and line that up. And then this one. By doing these frames on first, you'll find it much easier to line up where you want your designer series paper to go. Now that's a little bit thick on the top there, and I've got a piece of paper here that I'm going to blot that on. That's better. I'm going to put this one here. That's it. Make sure that opens, and that one. Okay. Now I'm not going to worry too much about right way and wrong way for these. A bit more Tombow. And what you should find when you put these down, you should find that that edge there comes just below that score line. But what you want to do is, as you put this down, you want to make sure you get the same amount of white all the way round. And by doing that, it should come just below the score line there. Okay. I didn't sit here and work out how that would work. I was just extremely lucky. There we go, so that's the windows and the flaps. Now I'm going to do the large sentiment up here. Where did I put my card? Oh, this one here. So that must be this piece. And I did that one in the yellow. Right, I haven't actually decided how my colour scheme is going to work out, but I'm going to use ribbon, and I'm going to be using this one. And this is actually Fresh Fig, but I thought that went really well with Blackberry Bliss. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, that's going to go across there, whereas I've used yellow on this one. And then I will have that on top. So I'm going to do pink writing and pink flowers with the darker bit in the middle, I think. Let's see what happens if I do that. So that's going to be cut with the layering ovals. This is a scalloped one, size 3. And this I'm going to be die cutting with the straight cut, number 3. So that's this. So the colour, the pink is Petal Pink, which is this pink here, but I do find that the inks do quite often come up quite a bit lighter. Right, and the Happy Birthday sentiment comes from the Detailed with Love stamp set, which is this one here, and this is our new layout for our stamp sets. One of the things I like about it is it's got up here clear mount set or whatever it is, rather than a little letter down here. And it also tells us on the side there that it's clear mount or whatever it is, which I find very useful, especially when I'm looking for something like the stamps I've done the writing inside here with. I particularly wanted to have photopolymer, so to have that on the side, the photopolymer on the side there, is a great idea. Really like that. Right, so let's see how dark this is going to come out. If this doesn't come dark enough, then I'll turn this over and use the other side. Oh, I think that's okay. Yes, I like that. In fact, I don't think I've pressed it very heavy on the top. I will redo that, but I'm going to stick with the pink. That's better. Right, so I don't need that one. So I'm going to die cut that, and then I will stamp the extra little flowers on it. And what else do I need to do? That's about it really, isn't it? It's just a stamping, and that's not die cutting. So if I die cut those, that's the last time I'm going to be needing my Big Shot. And these new ink pads are absolutely brilliant. They're a bit smaller than the other ones. This is one of the old ones. Like it's smaller, more narrow, but really, really very nice to use because it just opens as a compact like that and then pushes along. This one's a little bit on the stiff side. Some of them are a bit stiff when they're first new, but it's lovely. Right, so I said Big Shot, didn't I? Let's pop that over there. So that's for the scallop, and this one for the straight cut. Oh, there we go, that's that. Let's put that die on there. Then I think we can give the Big Shot a rest. So I'm going to pop that on. In fact, no, I'm not, am I? I'm going to try and do my flowers first. Do you know what? I think I'm going to do the flowers in Blackberry Bliss and then do the centres of them in pink. Let's see how it works out. If it doesn't look good, then I will still stick with it, but I might change it after the video. I think this is going to look best. Right, the first one I was able to squeeze in here. Oh, and I'll tell you which stamp set this is from as well. Just bear with me. Again, I was able to look over the top of this so I could really see what I was doing. Where did I put the other one? Right, just at the bottom here then. There we go, that's fine. So I finished with that one. Let's move that out of the way while I've got ink. And this one. So now I will use my Tombow to put the two together. Oops, overly generous there with the glue. So let me see if I can just blot that onto there. That's better. So that will be adhered on there with dimensionals. Oh, I said I'd show you the stamp set, didn't I? The little flower is from Jar of Love. Any little flower that you have will work well. So dimensionals, and I used little ones on this because it's going to be going over the ribbon. And I just did 3 near the top and 3 near the bottom. That's those. But before we do that, let's put some of the ribbon on. This is very, very similar to some ribbon that we had when I first joined Stampin' Up! About 6 years ago. Really lovely, I love it. Whether I'm going to put a bow on this one or not, I really don't know. So let's pop that there for a minute. Now what I want is to put this halfway between here. So as you can't see the numbers around here, I'm doing this just by counting the squares, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5 there, so that's halfway. So if I did it like that, that would be right, wouldn't it? Okay, that will work. Where's my silicone mat? I'm not sure if there's a right or wrong way with this. I don't think there is. No. Right, so what I'm going to do is just put some SNAIL there and some SNAIL there. I'll go back to my 3.5 here. And that's that one. And now, can you see that? Yes, you can. If I line the bottom of that ribbon up with that thick line, then it's easy to line it up, as long as I make sure this is straight. Then I can line this up with that line as well. So that should be straight too. There we go. So what I will do is I will just put some tear and tape over it as extra bit of security to make sure it doesn't go walkabouts. I didn't stick that down very straight. Mind you, it's level on the other side, so I'm not going to try moving it. Okay, so that's that. We can put this on. Now, do I want to put a bow on that or not? I did actually tie one earlier on so that I could have a look. But I think the beauty of the... Oh no, don't like that. No, I just like this. So, do I want to put that in the centre of this either side? Or do I want to put it on one side? Not sure. I know there's somebody out there saying in the middle, or maybe at the end. I think I'm going to do at the end. Is that the right choice? Right, let's have a look. I think that's okay. Right, let's get rid of those little things. So the next thing I need to do is this one. Now this is what we're going to stamp our messages on, and it's going to be adhered at the back like that. So what you need to do is get that into position, turn it over, don't let it move. In fact, we've got the finger notches to punch out of those as well. So once you've got that, again, draw your 4 corners in, and obviously these are not going to be in the same 4 places as before because you've done the score line. Right, before we move on, let's do those little finger notches. Now I'm using a 1/2 inch circle punch, and what I like to do is when I put this on here, I centre it on here so I got the same gap that side as I had that side, and when I can start seeing the white coming through here, I only go a very little way, and the reason I don't want to go a long way, what happens if you go too far is you'll be able to see the stamping underneath there, which on this one you can just about see it. Yes, you can see that, can't you? Right, if I pop that open so you see. Okay, so that really is very, very close. So be careful of that one. So when you punch this, only do it as a very, very small piece. You certainly don't want to go as high as your designer series paper. Okay, that's how much I'm doing. So I don't know, that must be something like 1/8 of an inch. Make sure I'm in the centre there. And about 1/8 of an inch. Right in the centre. About 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's fine. Good, good. Okay, so now let's do this. And I alternated my ink on the other ones, and I'm going to do that the same. I've already got all my stamps lined up, and I'll show you the two stamp sets that I'm using for my sentiments. I can't remember which is which actually, so bear with me. Oh, this is where the happy birthday came from. Don't remember if I told you that. I don't think I did I? And that was Happy Birthday Gorgeous. Now, thoughtful banners and tabs for everything. I think the wonderful and adorable came from here. Is it just that? Yes. And everything else came from thoughtful banners. This is the first time, I'll be perfectly honest, this is the first time I've used this. And I thought, what a fabulous idea. Because I was able to mix and match, and I suppose I've never really done a project where I've wanted that to happen. So my first one is Have a Happy Birthday. No, it isn't, it's Have a Happy. Right, okay, so this is Have a Happy. And I want the top to be Blackberry Bliss and the bottom to be powder pink. So I am just going to put the Have a Happy on the Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to turn my stamp and then just do the happy on the petal pink. And I'll bring this down as close as I can. Right, you should be able to see that. And then I'm going to position this right in the centre. And hopefully straight. Oh, that's not too bad, yeah. I can live with that. And then the next one I'm going to use is Amazing and Fabulous. And this is going to be Blackberry Bliss. Now this is the one I have to be very careful of not to come too far down. Are we still in? Yep. Okay, so it's Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to take the Amazing as high as I can and as straight as I can. Not perfect. And what do I have in the middle? Wonderful. And this is going to be pink. So this is going to go right in the centre. And the last one is Adorable Birthday. So that's Adorable, which is going to be that one, and Birthday, which is going to be that one. So let's do the top one first. No, I didn't say that, did I? I said this. Put that straight. You know, with hindsight, I could have put all of these just any which way and nothing would have looked crooked, because it would all have been crooked. Right, now birthday. There we go. Right, let's put this away. I will still need it to decorate the insides. Now what I do to get this onto here, again I use my temporary adhesive, which you can use your SNAIL. And I can't see what I've done with my, oh yes I can, here it is. And I'm just going to put some on here. And then I can, oh no, first of all let's remove the pencil marks, just in case they're visible. Try not to take your eraser over your ink, just in case. It should be plenty dry now, but just in case. Especially if you've got a very, very juicy ink pad. There we go. Right, now I'm going to pop that there where I can see it. Keep the windows open and pop this on top. And that's my temporary adhesive there. So that will hold that in place. Close the windows. Turn this over. Bit wonky, but never mind, it's not going to be seen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tear and tape over it. But not all the way. Just as long as there's enough there to hold it, I'll be happy. This is going to be adhered onto the next layer anyway, so right, okay. Now I want it to go onto here. So what I think I'm going to do is I will take these off the edge and then put this all the way around the edge. So if I use my paper piercer, now I'm keeping those handy just in case when I put the 4 pieces right around the edge, if I'm leaving any of the sticky exposed, then I can just pop that over it while I position this onto the Blackberry Bliss layer. If that makes sense. Make sure that gets a good grip of the ribbon. Actually, I wonder if I ought to put that up on dimensionals. Now there's a thought, because that ribbon's a little bit on the thick side, isn't it? It would have to go onto that, wouldn't it? I think that's what I'm going to do. Right, I don't really like changing my mind about things like this halfway through. But let's see, can I put that on there? I can, as long as it's not bigger. Well, I'll cut that piece off. Right, okay. I just want to cover this up in case, I always think somebody might just like look sideways, and if they could see all that underneath, I mean, it looks like, well, not very nice. So let me just put that on. I shouldn't have pulled that big one off, but never mind. We can do this. In fact, we should be able to just do it like that, shouldn't we? Because they're the same size. Well, maybe not. That's the side I'm going to be cutting off. If I had my trimmer here. She says, looking around. As long as it's reasonably tidy from the back, then I will be alright. Oh, come on. Please don't play hard to get. Oh, that's better. Right, now I'm just going to use my paper snips to cut off any cardstock I can see from here. It's not going to be perfect from underneath, but it's going to be a lot better than it was. Right, that's that one. This is the worst bit. Just tilting my scissors to go sideways and just make sure I don't cut the ribbon. Last thing I want now is for that to start fraying. I'll try and keep this as a straight line, and then that piece as well. There we go, from the front, beautiful, and at the end of the day that's what counts. But we want to know what it looks like from the back, don't we? Let's have a quick peep. Oh, well, look at that, it's not bad at all. Not particularly straight lines, but that's alright, I'm happy with that, I can live with that. Right, now we want some large dimensionals. I know what I was doing was to try and avoid the bump on the ribbon, but because this piece is going up on the dimensionals, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if this white piece bumps. It's a bit overkill there, but never mind. If you struggle, as I'm struggling, if you press your fingernail down onto the backing, it does make it pop up, so it's much easier to pull off. There we go. So now I'm just going to pop this onto this one. That's better. Yep. Let's just get rid of these. So now I want this to go onto my card front. So those two pieces are for the inside, and I have already done my tape. Right, now just drop that bit back down, didn't I? There we go. And now just for the inside of the card, I've already done my tape again. And I'm just going to stamp some little flowers at the bottom. There's that and that. Let's pop this on the inside. Right, now the flowers I'm using, I'm going back to that little stamp, and I'm going back to Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to have to do the centre of the flowers after I finish the video because I've forgotten to bring my pen over, the Petal Pink marker pen. Now these I'm not doing in a straight line, just so that life is that much easier for me. Oops. I'm going to finish that off once I finish the video so I can get my head right over it to do that flower properly. So there we go, that's today's project. I hope you like it, hope you give it a try. I've shown you this one, and I've also done this one as well. This was my first one, but I wasn't totally happy with that because it was just one colour, which is why I did the birds to give it a little bit of interest there. So there we go. Oh, and I haven't added the pearls on here either. I've added pearls onto this one. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the box below the video. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, there'll be a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. I'll also put all the measurements and the products that I've used in the box below. And if you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Wednesdays and Sundays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. Until next time, many thanks for joining me. Happy crafting. Cheerio.